A new Saiyan empire begins to form. While Goku was recovering on some unknown planet in a corner of the galaxy in the middle of the timeline number 4, a small planet populated by beings known as Saiyans, something interesting begins to happen. Prince Vegeta of that beautiful storm is crowned by the few survivors as king. The great King Vegeta, the king of a race in ruins, who upon being crowned would already have the mission to find survivors of his people who had come close to extinction. In this timeline, the Saiyans had not been attacked by Frieza because some events were different in that world, and the warrior race managed to unite against Frieza and stop him. Even though they suffered countless casualties, and shortly afterwards they would have met their end due to their own pride that caused their world to collapse, and the great warrior race that did not accept help from other peoples had their world completely ruined and destroyed by wars. Internal forces that made the few survivors needed to find a place where they would try to rebuild their empire. Vegeta on his throne watches his subjects waiting for him to make a decision, and at that moment Vegeta closes his eyes and after a sigh he screams, "Saiyans, you all trusted me, and to recover the glory of our people, and we will rise again finding the true power of the Saiyans. Prepare some ships and a group of warriors, and I personally will travel to find more survivors of the Saiyans, and when we manage to gather our army, we will return to be the most powerful beings in the universe." Everyone begins to regain their hopes and trust in their king, and little by little, the Saiyan race intends to regain its pride. Alright partner, why don't you whack that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos and stay well inside our entire universe of Dragon Ball. Let's get back to the point. Meanwhile, wandering through space, some survivors of that planet Earth that Black had destroyed found themselves lost in a ship with a Capsule Corporation logo. There, some well-known figures were discussing what had happened. At that moment, we realized that some Z warriors were still alive in that timeline. Bulma, Piccolo, Gohan, Kuririn, and even Dende were among the survivors. Gohan, with eyes full of tears, says, "Those damned, they destroyed everything and we barely managed to escape. We barely managed to save some people." Piccolo puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "Don't worry, Gohan. We were lucky enough to have gathered the Dragon Balls before the world was attacked, and thanks to you, we were able to save Kami-sama from the Earth, and we will be able to get everything back to normal." Bulma interrupts them saying,
"Before we bring everything back, we need to find out what happened. We were very lucky this time. We were all gathered in the same place and we already had the Dragon Balls there with us. If it weren't for that, it would all be over."
Krillin, in a panic, gets up and screams,
"Who were those damned ones? He had a flash, and there appeared several strange figures in the sky, that evil presence, and that voice. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm sure it was Goku's voice, saying that he would exterminate the Earth and all the beings that existed there."
Piccolo responds at that moment, "I have no doubt that it was Goku's voice, but I don't know who the beings with him were. I guess Goku was no longer with us, but I still can't believe he turned evil." Gohan interrupts them saying, "That wasn't my father. I know it wasn't. And that's why at that moment I said we needed to flee. That presence was something else, but it wasn't my father. I know that." Krillin then starts to blush and says,
"But not everyone managed to reach Bulma's ship. Several of our friends exploded along with the Earth. It doesn't matter who the enemy is, but I will kill him with my own hands."
Black's Supreme Palace. Black sitting on his throne with all the angels and gods of destruction around him revering him, receives the news that Goku managed to escape after the attack he had received from several gods. Black starts laughing and says,
"So he really got really powerful. He doesn't stand a chance against my army, let alone me."
At that moment, Black orders several angels and gods to approach and then begins to absorb the power of several angels and gods of destruction. An immense power begins to emerge, leaving the bodies all dry and empty, and then Black says,
I went through countless timelines and obtained various abilities, but the ability to control matter and absorb celestial energy is really very useful for my purpose.
Now, Black could consume celestial power, and that made him the most dangerous being of all conceivable timelines. After all, he had an army with hundreds of angels and gods and could absorb their energy at any time. Returning to the planet where Goku was recovering his strength, Goku is now in his base form drinking water from what looked like a river, and in his thoughts, he can't stop thinking about everything that was happening. With anguish in his chest, he says,
I know that this is not my timeline, and that probably the me in this place doesn't even exist, but just imagining what happened to my friends, to my children, I start to get furious.
At that moment, Goku feels a very distant power, a key that was familiar to him, and then Goku smiles and says,
Is it really him? His key is way off, but I'm sure it's him.
Goku places his fingers on his forehead and closes his eyes and suddenly exclaims,
I found you,
and uses his teleportation. In Bulma's spaceship, everyone is hopelessly trying to find answers to all their questions without being able to understand what just happened. At that moment, Gohan feels a very powerful key and tells everyone,
Get ready!
And there, before their eyes, Goku appears. Goku, happy to find them, says,
I can't believe it's you guys. I knew it was Gohan's key.
Gohan is filled with happiness and runs towards his father as he screams,
Daddy, it's you! This time it is you!
Gohan hugs Goku. Everyone is looking, trying to imagine how is it possible that Goku is there in front of him, and Goku, with an ironic tone, says,
What was it? It's like they've seen a ghost.
Krillin yells, saying,
What? So it's Goku's ghost? Please don't kill me. I don't want to die.
And then he kneels on the ground, begging the ghost not to take him into the depths. Goku starts laughing and everyone laughs too. Goku says,
Get up, my friend. I'm not a ghost, but I imagine that myself from this timeline has died. That's why you had this reaction.
Goku's happy face disappears quickly and he looks seriously at his friends who stare at him, until Piccolo asks, Goku, why are you looking at us like that? And then Goku looks down with an expression of sadness and replies,
Is that? I'm starving.
And he puts his hand on his stomach and sits on the floor desperately screaming.
I arrived here a few days ago and so far I haven't eaten anything. I can't take it anymore.
Bulma punches Goku in the head, saying,
You idiot! Don't scare us like that!
Goku complains in pain.
Oh, Bulma, you don't have to hit me like that.
Bulma walks to a shelf next to the control panel in the center of the ship, presses a button that makes a small platform come out of the counter with some capsules. She takes 2 of them and throws them in front of her friends while saying,
It's time to eat, and in front of you, there is a feast.
Everyone is happy and excited, and Goku hurries to eat. For a moment, they managed to forget everything that was happening and began to eat to recover their strength, while everyone ate and for a brief moment put aside the previous events on the new planet of the Saiyans. Vegeta wore an outfit like his father's. One of his subjects approaches with the crown in his hand, saying, My king, you forgot to wear your crown. Vegeta responds rudely,
Insect, I don't need this thing to be the king of the Saiyans. I won't use such a thing. Just get this out of my face.
That Saiyan bows and is scared, starts to withdraw, taking the crown with him of the Saiyan king. Vegeta walks towards several other warriors who were lined up and says,
Now, we will go back to the place where the planet Vegeta was located. We will start looking for survivors in that region, and we will explore nearby planets to find other Saiyans who may be lost.
Everyone screams,
Yes, Your Majesty.
Vegeta enters a spaceship where some Saiyan warriors accompany him, and they take off and fly. The ship they're on is similar to the ship Frieza used, and Vegeta angrily says, I have no choice. Even if I need to smell that Frieza worm, we will use his ship to look for more warriors. To be continued. Will King Vegeta be able to rebuild the Saiyan Empire? Will Goku and his friends in this timeline find a solution to everything that is happening? Will Black and his army be able to carry out their plans? Regardless of what it is, it's more than important that you share your thoughts in the comments below so we can get into a crazy debate. Whack that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. That's all there is to it, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Goodbye.